Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by a massive life change? Like wondering if the sheer stress of it all is literally just going to break you? Well, if you have, you are absolutely not alone. In today's hyper-fast world, balancing work, family, and this constant flood of information, it's incredibly easy to feel like we're cracking under the pressure. And when sudden transitions or traumas hit, that ongoing pressure can take a massive toll. It can literally feel like your entire foundation is crumbling. But what if feeling broken isn't the end of your story? What if it's actually the beginning of a much more beautiful, resilient chapter?
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring the metaphorical journey of repair, mastering emotional resilience. We are going to look at how a blend of modern psychological tools and ancient philosophies can actually transform our adversity into profound value. We'll explore cognitive reframing, narrative therapy, and daily habits that can quite literally rewire how we respond to stress. I am super excited to guide you through this because these concepts are truly life-changing.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. The beauty in being broken.
So we're going to kick things off by radically reframing how we view our personal damage. And to do that, we look to Japan. Wabi-sabi is this amazing philosophy that's all about noticing and appreciating imperfection, impermanence, and the understated beauty in everyday life. Think about it. In our hyper-productive, perfection-obsessed world, embracing wabi-sabi is almost a radical act of rebellion. Psychology tells us that maladaptive perfectionism, having those totally unrealistic self-standards, is strongly linked to chronic stress, anxiety, and even a fear of intimacy, just because we're terrified our flaws will lead to rejection. Well, wabi-sabi directly challenges that. By honoring the emotional scars we've endured and actually seeing the beauty in asymmetry, we lower those walls. We stop obsessing over a flawless presentation or a spotless life, and we start accepting difficult experiences as just part of our unique unfolding story.
And this brilliantly illustrates a related, very physical practice called kintsugi. It's the tradition of repairing broken pottery. But here's the catch. Instead of using clear glue to try and hide the cracks, artisans use higher quality materials. We're talking actual gold and silver here, just to fill the gaps. They deliberately highlight the blemishes. They invest in the damage to communicate that the piece isn't useless. It's actually now way more valuable precisely because of its history. Just imagine if we treated ourselves that way. Instead of hiding our emotional breaks, what if we chose to celebrate them, honor them, and fortify them with gold? It's a beautiful mindset, for sure, but how do we apply it practically when the ground shifts beneath our feet? That brings us to Section 2, Navigating Major Life Transitions.
Finding balance in the face of uncertainty is absolutely crucial. Change, even really positive change, triggers stress. Research shows that uncertainty literally activates the brain's fear response, so it is completely natural for us to crave stability. When a big transition happens, say a sudden move, a career shift, or a relationship ending, our first instinct is almost always to resist. But leaning into the wobble of that uncertainty, fully embracing the change, is exactly what builds true adaptability.
This is where evidence-based strategies like cognitive reframing come into play. Instead of looking at a big change and thinking, ugh, I have to start over, which, let's be real, frames the situation as a massive loss and breeds a ton of anxiety, you can deliberately shift your mindset. Try thinking, I get to build a new life with fresh possibilities. It's the exact same event, but a totally different meaning. Studies on cognitive reframing show that this simple little shift in your internal dialogue significantly reduces stress and improves your overall emotional well-being. And speaking of internal dialogue,
Let's move into Section 3, Rewriting Your Personal Story. Taking control of our internal narrative is such a powerful tool for healing from past trauma and ongoing struggles. Narrative therapy is this trauma-informed approach where a person talks through and essentially reauthors or restories difficult memories. Think of yourself as the author of your life. Sometimes traumatic events write a chapter for us that feels completely out of our control. Narrative therapy allows you to sort of step back and observe yourself as a character in the story, separate from your trauma, so you can actually start to experiment with alternative, healthier endings. So the crucial point here is externalization. Narrative therapy helps eliminate the whole idea that you are your problem. Instead of saying, I am my anxiety, you say, my anxiety is an obstacle I'm learning to manage. You can literally even give your frustration or your illness a name just to fully separate it from your core identity. This empowered stance is incredible for long-term recovery because it actively helps rewire how the brain experiences those traumatic memories. It puts the pen right back in your hand, and once you take back that pen, something truly profound can happen. You don't just bounce back to where you were before the trauma, you enter a whole new realm.
Section 4. Experiencing Post-Traumatic Growth.
Psychologists often use the metaphor of an earthquake to describe trauma. A psychologically seismic event severely shakes or completely reduces to rubble the fundamental assumptions and structures that have guided your understanding of the entire world. And yeah, it is terrifying. But extending that metaphor, the cognitive rebuilding that happens in the aftermath can actually be designed to be much more resistant to future shocks. You learn from the earthquake what withstood the shaking and what didn't, and you build back a much stronger mental framework.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the core paradox of post-traumatic growth. Out of loss, there is gain. At a time when an individual feels vulnerable as never before, they very often discover an unprecedented sense of strength. It's that profound realization of, wow, if I handled this terrible thing, I can handle just about anything.
And you can actually measure this growth across 5 main domains. People who've worked through major crises often report finding incredible new strength and vulnerability. They experience a radical change in life priorities. Suddenly, the little things, like a child's smile or just a really beautiful morning, take on massive importance. They develop deeper, much more intimate relationships because all the pretenses just fall away. They might explore completely new vocational paths they never even considered before, or experience a much deeper spiritual or existential engagement. The trauma didn't destroy them, it expanded them. So how do we practically maintain this new strength?
Section 5. Daily Habits for Resilience.
It's really all about learning to slow down, observe, and just accept what life gives us. Reducing stress doesn't always require these massive, dramatic life overhauls. More often than not, it's just about incorporating small, intentional pauses into your daily routine to simplify your environment and really ground yourself in the present moment.
Let's look at how this builds into 3 specific, evidence-based habits you can easily start today. First, your morning. Wake up and write down 3 things you're grateful for. Starting your day focusing on what you have rather than what you lack literally shifts your brain away from rumination and toward optimism. Second, midday mindfulness. Take a standard daily task, like drinking your coffee, and turn it into a mindful moment. Notice the warmth of the mug, the smell, the rhythm of your own breathing. Step away from past grievances and future anxieties and just be right there. Finally, the evening. Right before bed, reflect on and write down 1 or 2 small wins from the day. It's so easy to focus on what went wrong or what's left unfinished, but writing down a win, even if it was just having a meaningful conversation, trains your brain to notice progress and joy, promoting genuine contentment as you go to sleep.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to ponder. What broke you but caused you to grow back stronger? And how will you fill your own cracks with gold? Remember, damage is objective, but the meaning you assign to that damage? That is entirely up to you. By embracing your beautiful imperfections, taking control of your narrative, and practicing daily resilience, you aren't just surviving the hard times, you are fundamentally transforming. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Take really good care of yourselves out there and start noticing the gold in your own story today.